Can Alzheimer's disease be reversed? Yes, it can. And we have case studies and clinical research that has shown that. So we're going to be talking about that briefly here today. I'm going to be doing a brief research review. Why is it important? Let's just look at the statistics. Just Google Alzheimer's disease in the United States. 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 65 is being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a severe, debilitating, disabling mental health condition that is just a travesty. It literally, I hate to say it in this way, hopefully nobody takes it the wrong way, but it creates a massive burden. And I can see this in so many, and I see it more in men. I'm seeing a lot of men being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and their wives having to take care of them. It does happen in females just the same. And actually 2 of the case reviews that we're going through here, 2 of the cases we'll be reviewing today were women. We're going to review 3 cases of individuals that had significant improvement, and some of them actually being able to recognize their family where before they had lost the ability to be able to recognize their family from caregivers at the facility they were staying in. So again, 1 in 10 Americans are dealing with Alzheimer's disease over the age of 65. 2017 and 2025, between 2017 and 2025, every state is expected to see roughly a 14% rise in the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease, and there has been an 89% rise in Alzheimer's deaths, or deaths due to Alzheimer's disease from 2000 to 2014. More than 5 million Americans are now living with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease has just rapidly and radically increased in the number of people. And our mortality rate, or our longevity rate, or the aging populations, actually we're starting to die sooner here in America. So we can't blame that it's just people are living longer, thus developing those conditions. It's something we're doing. We are poisoning our population. We are destroying our gut health. We're destroying our digestive system health, and that is one of the key factors in the development of mental illness, mental health problems. And I don't care if it's bipolar, schizophrenia, to dementia and Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. We have to look to the gut. I'm not going to be doing too much review of what we do in my clinic specifically. This was me just wanting to get here on camera to talk about this statement right here. The fact that a wife, a patient of mine, she comes in constantly dealing with issues with her husband, begging and pleading for me to help her help him, but yet knowing when she goes home, it's a very difficult time getting him to do anything that his medical physician doesn't prescribe to him. And so literally the gentleman is unwilling to change his nutrition, unwilling to come into my clinic, unwilling to do anything but take a pill prescribed to him by his medical physician. But this right here on the screen in front of you folks is the question that this individual, this man, this husband, grandfather, or father is asking his medical physician every time. She said, every time we go to our medical physician, his medical doctor, this is the question he asks. How much longer do I have before I lose it all? How long till I lose it all? I looked at the woman and I said, ma'am, you need to tell your husband to stop going to a doctor where your question for that doctor is, how long till I lose it all? I said, you need to bring him to a doctor like myself who will be willing to take the question and turn the question around and say, how long till you regain it all? That is the question I would have for the patient. How long till you regain it all? I'm not going to know that. I know the Lord above is the only one who can know that, but I'm going to do everything we can to help you regain your memory, because that can be done. And the science and available evidence is there. It's just not in a pill, potion, or lotion that Big Pharma is wanting to sell you. And we're going to go through that, and that's not just my words. That is actually the words of a medical physician. Again, if you TWD, and I saw a Debbie right away, Debbie Sabadin, I'm horrible with pronouncing names on Facebook, but Debbie, if you're still online with us here on Facebook, TWD again. I think you TWD just before we put up the TWD program. We call it a bot. And it gives you the opportunity to subscribe to being alerted when we come online with more videos in the future. It also allows you to get access to the blog post on thewilddoc.com, where you'll get the links to the research study that I'm going to be presenting here today, or references that I refer to. This is the study here on the screen. I'm not going to read the title, but again, it's the turmeric, effects of turmeric. That is a Indian spice used in curry and different spices in Indian food especially, but I highly recommend using it in as many foods as you possibly can. If you eat eggs in the morning, sprinkle a little turmeric on it. If you eat a salad, sprinkle a little turmeric on it. You know what? Make yourself a coconut milk, turmeric tea and drink that on a daily basis. If you're not allergic to things like black pepper, which we can identify, we don't want to increase any inflammation in your body because inflammation will lead to neurodegeneration and other health problems. Black pepper is oftentimes one of the most common food allergies we find in allergy testing for foods. So that's why I go more towards fenugreek. It's one of the less common food allergies. I've actually never seen it in a food allergy yet. So fenugreek is phenomenal. It works much like black pepper does with the combination of turmeric. And I'm mentioning this because if you want to increase the potency and medicinal value of turmeric, mix in a little either fresh crushed black pepper if you're not allergic, because if you were allergic, you cause an inflammatory immune response in your body, or fenugreek. And fenugreek has actually been shown to increase the bioavailability of turmeric by 45 times. Unlike black pepper is about 22 times. I'm still looking through the research to see if it has the effect on the liver like black pepper does. Black pepper has an effect on the liver's metabolism and breakdown of turmeric. So I'd love to see if somebody's not allergic to black pepper, that they would combine the two, fenugreek and black pepper, because black pepper has an effect on the liver, and you'll see that the concentration within the blood, the active constituents, active compounds that benefit and cause an anti-inflammatory neuroprotective effect, liver healing effect. Turmeric has so many potential medicinal benefits. That is one of God's most amazing medicines, I believe. It's actually one of the most well-studied and documented, safe and effective natural medicines in the entire world. There are literally tens of thousands of research papers written on turmeric and tens of thousands of studies done on it, and it does fantastic beneficial effects for your body. So, but again, you can see thousands of times more concentration and longer periods of time that the active compounds stay in the bloodstream because of the use of black pepper. So, just an added benefit. They did not use black pepper or fenugreek in the in this study. It was purely turmeric. They were purely looking at whether turmeric had an effect on Alzheimer's disease as well as mental acuity, mental testing. So here is the research study that I'm going to be discussing with you here today. They describe here 3 patients with Alzheimer's disease whose behavioral symptoms were improved markedly as a result of turmeric treatment. Their cognitive decline and behavioral psychological symptoms of dementia, that would be BPSD. So from here on out, if I reference in these cases and use the abbreviation BPSD, that stands for behavioral psychological symptoms of dementia. All 3 patients exhibited irritability, agitation, anxiety, apathy. 2 patients suffered with urinary incontinence. I'm going to throw in a little added benefit here for you to understand where urinary incontinence comes from primarily, because we see tons and tons of women and men dealing with urinary incontinence where they can't hold their bladder. Some of them have to wear diapers, to some of them just always urinary frequency issues, always going to the bathroom with chiropractic care alone. I would like to point out something that is not in this information that you'll get access to if you TWD on Facebook Live alone. If you're on YouTube right now, realize in the future when we post this to YouTube, realize that YouTube, you can't TWD in the comments there. You have to go into the description of the YouTube video, and then you can access a link there that will send you to the blog site, thewilddoc.com, where this video is posted, as well as all the research documents or references that I'm utilizing here. Something I wanted to say about that. What was I going to do there? There goes my Alzheimer's disease. And give me some more turmeric. Brain fart. There was something I was saying there. Anyways, I got it on the TWD. So these references, something that these research and references don't go into is the added benefits of the fenugreek and the black pepper. It also doesn't talk about some other aspects of what are the key contributing factor or risk factors. There's where I was going with it. Risk factors for Alzheimer's disease, actually, biotoxins such as viral infections, chronic infections, to aluminum exposure especially. Yes, aluminum is a causative factor in Alzheimer's disease, whether it's something you're storing food in, you're being injected with. They've seen major cognitive decline in people who undergo kidney dialysis, and with the dialysis machines or dialysis treatment that have aluminum contamination, they've had to do a lot of work to remove aluminum from dialysis process, and there was dementia caused by aluminum there. So we know that aluminum can cause Alzheimer's disease. So another thing, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I will throw it out there for you, but we'll go through more of the research later on my specific Alzheimer's disease patient care. How do I care for somebody who's dealing with this condition? I don't deal and treat Alzheimer's disease. Turmeric doesn't treat Alzheimer's disease. It treats, it really helps with kidney, liver function, which is going to help with that. There are better herbs for that, such as dandelion milk thistle. There's better ways to remove aluminum from our system, such as silica-rich waters like Fiji, or looking at silica-rich herbs like horsetail. Not actually a horse's like the mammal tail. Don't go around if you have Alzheimer's shaving the hair off horses and consuming it. That would be kind of gross, but there's actually an herb called horsetail. Again, squirrel. But you've got to get the root causes under control, healing the gut, removing toxins. My point here is toxic exposure is one of the biggest risk factors for the development of Alzheimer's. The second risk factor is actually head and neck trauma. If you want to flip-flop those and you look at Parkinson's disease, the primary risk factor is head and neck trauma, and then it's toxic exposure. Now the two combined are extremely harmful, because if you traumatize your nervous system and your spine, and then you're exposed to toxins, well, through trauma to your nervous system, it kicks into overdrive your sympathetic nervous system. And until those misalignments in trauma, physical trauma to your spine is healed or corrected with chiropractic care, physical therapy methods, methods to heal and improve spinal mobility, spinal structure, spinal alignment. Through doing so, your body functions better. So it doesn't matter whether it's your digestive tract or your kidney or liver, detoxification, or your inflammatory immune response activation, the level of activation to your immune response is all dictated and determined by your spine and nervous system. Your nervous system is what dictates that. If you traumatize your head and neck, especially, you wind up with more activation of inflammatory immune system type responses. You decrease your function of your kidney, your liver, your digestive tract. All systems of your body will function at less capacity in that state. So correction of the spine improves detoxification. Correction of the spine would improve or lessen inflammatory immune responses. So that is a critical component. I've seen Parkinson's disease patients completely reverse Parkinson's disease just under chiropractic care. Alzheimer's disease, not so much just under chiropractic. I see improvements with different system functions, but then you've got to get a level of detoxification going, and you've also got to remove remove the toxins, but then you've got to get the inflammation under control. And that's really what turmeric was doing here. If you look at the effects of turmeric, yes, it aids in many different physiological functions, but it is really going after it is a phenomenal anti-inflammatory herb. So these individuals started recovering within 12 weeks of treatment with turmeric without any adverse effects. The neuropsychiatric inventory brief questionnaire decreased significantly both in acuity of symptoms and burden of caregivers. This is one of the things I printed this study off for this woman, this patient of mine, to go and just read for herself. She's trying to figure out how can she sneak turmeric into her coffee, and I told her, yeah, you're never going to be able to do that because it's just really potent, But you need high quality. Using raw root is phenomenal. Dried root or even a liquid elixir, something that we utilize in my office. We utilize a liquid extract. It's an alcohol extract of the root turmeric, and we can get up to 2.5 grams per serving. And in our supplement, we can actually get up to 70 servings. So you can get, and that's far more than what was used in this study. And it was And it's also, when you look at Ayurvedic medicine, you look at herbal medicine, you really need to get up into the grams for many different types of health conditions. So that's why I feel the Wellness Way has some of the best priced and best quality supplements for what you need to really start using herbs as medicine. Those are herbs we don't sell just generally online. It requires a consultation and recommendations, because really I'm not about just sell you a bunch of herbs and supplements. I love getting this information to you about turmeric and its benefits for Alzheimer's disease, but I'm not about just here, try all these herbs. We should work to identify and correct the underlying causes. So if somebody's condition is being driven by a very unhealthy spine or a very unhealthy digestive tract, you know what? I'm going to want to discuss that with them and give them an opportunity to understand these are probably your underlying causes or your physiological bodily organ systems that are contributing to this condition. The best path is this, and these would be my recommendations. Now, if you'd like to, after that, just say, hey, I would love to just get my hands on your turmeric. You know what? I'm going to say okay to that. I just want that opportunity to guide you in the right direction, not be a general supplement salesman. So that's just me personally. So after 1 year of treatment, the family member of these individuals with Alzheimer's disease were able to actually recognize their family. What a blessing that would be. You know, I forget who he was, but there was a, this huge preacher on TV. Maybe I shouldn't, he was a preacher on TV. He was just world-renowned preacher. He literally said on TV one time that Alzheimer's is a living death and that divorce would be okay in that circumstance. You know what, I would want to switch that around and say, no, it's forcing your spouse to drink turmeric tea is worth it, and what God would want you to do. God provides. You know, that's what I say. I had a patient that had this growth on his skin. We used an herb, and guess what? Boom. Winds up completely reversing the problem. It's healing up. Phenomenal. So, really what I love about being the Wild Doc and what I want to do is be able to teach people that through the herbs, the medicines, God created everything for a purpose. He created turmeric for a purpose. So what if it was, taking somebody from, praying for God to heal them and say, maybe it's not this miraculous healing. You can keep eating your McDonald's every single day. You don't need to get adjusted. You don't need to exercise. You can just smoke cigarettes every day, and you can drink all the junk out of aluminum cans you want, and, all this stuff. But it was like, no, like in this time period of your life, God had already provided for you. It's not miraculous healing. He wants to change. He wants you to learn about what He's created and the beauty. There is beauty in the physiological, anti-inflammatory, medicinal effects of herbs. That is beautiful to me. The science of it is beautiful. That is beauty. It's not just looking at these different flowers and things like that. Anyways, going on. Urinary incontinence, if you Google that really quick, urinary incontinence by Mayo Clinic, they put up a little poster there of your brain and your nervous system, the Urology Health Society, I believe it was, and Mayo Clinic saying there's a miscommunication. Your nerves can't send the signals down to your bladder. So that is a sign of nerve deterioration. A short-circuiting effect of your nervous system. Brain can no longer communicate down to the sphincter, the muscles that squeeze to not allow you to leak urine. Well, what causes that? Primarily, we see degenerative disc disease causing that problem in urinary continence. And then if we have urinary continence, and then we're eventually going to move towards further and further neurodegeneration, because there is a problem with the spine and nervous system. We've got to correct the underlying cause. Anyways, just a little added hint there. Case 1, 83-year-old female who developed progressive dementia. She had started to exhibit disturbances of short-term memory and orientation when she was only 76 years old. She also had a history of diabetes mellitus, which we know now can be reversed through diet, nutrition, anti-inflammatory effects. There are studies in Journal of Surgical Neurology International, September 2nd of 2010. People, you can search this. Diabetes mellitus. And they were reversing it through decompressive surgery on the brainstem in type 2 diabetics. Hey, guess what? That's not a chiropractic journal. That is a surgery journal. Guess what, though? Would you rather somebody taking a knife and doing a surgery around your brainstem, or a skilled chiropractor, wellness way physician actually adjusting your spine into the proper alignment, allowing your body to communicate better from brain to body, and then guess what? Your body functions better. You're no longer in that sympathetic fight or flight state, which drives your blood sugar up and releases more insulin, and then adds to insulin insensitivity. You're no longer sensitive to insulin, thus insulin doesn't work as well, eventually allowing your sugar to go up. It's not too much sugar that causes diabetes, it is the inability to control the sugar with insulin and hormonal regulation through the nervous system. So again, going back, hypertension. I want you to note that all three of these patients, all three of them had hypertension. Dyslipidemia, so that would be like triglycerides and cholesterol out of balance. And then she also had a head injury. What did I say? I said the biggest risk factors for Alzheimer's, number one, is toxic overload exposure. And then number two would be head and neck injury. So this person would definitely need chiropractic care, and this person would need to get their inflammatory state under control. All of those markers, massive inflammation. And if you look, again, going into some of the other research on this, I'll mention right now why I said note that all three of these patients had hypertension, high blood pressure. Well, guess what chiropractic has been shown to do? Without injury, without problems, without side effect, no adverse effects, adjusting very, very specifically the atlas vertebra, the top vertebra in the spine, chiropractic was able to reverse and arrest or lower blood pressure better than any two medications on the market. There is no two medications in combination that can work as well as a specific upper cervical chiropractic adjustment. Why is that so important? Well, your upper cervical spine interacts with your brain so much so that if you have misalignments up there, it can cause neural inflammation, neurogenic inflammation, and inflammation in and around the brain, and it can negatively affect cerebral spinal fluid flow. MRI studies in chiropractic show a decrease in cerebral spinal fluid flow without proper segmental alignment and mobility of the upper cervical spine, and through an upper cervical spinal adjustment, better cerebral spinal fluid. The fluid around that cerebral spinal fluid, that fluid is bathing your brain and nervous system in the nutrition it needs. It's keeping inflammation under control. It's clearing things out that are byproducts of cellular metabolism, waste products. You need that proper flow. Going on, difficulty in learning new information. She also had gradually, her daily activity was disturbed. She had increasing difficulty in getting dressed, cooking, and coordination in household tasks. Couldn't even get dressed on her own. She wandered aimlessly around the house. She had incontinence in her urinary system, urinary incontinence, psychobehavioral changes such as apathy, anxiety, agitation, irritability, which really, really negatively affects quality of life amongst your family members and friends. So she required persistent caregiver care, a persistent 24/7 caregiver. Her agitation, apathy, anxiety, and irritability, this is post-treatment with turmeric for 12 weeks. Irritability were relieved. She began to tell about the need to urinate, even urination improvements. She came to join in laughter while watching TV, comedy programs. Hopefully the movie Dumb and Dumber made her laugh, because that always makes me laugh. I don't know why I had to go there, but began to sing some songs, do knitting, which she used to do. After taking turmeric for more than 1 year, she began to recognize her family again. Seemed to remember. I believe it meant remember, but this is an exact quote from the study, and seemed to remind her late husband. I believe it should read, remember her late husband. She lives a peaceful life without significant psychological signs and symptoms of depression or dementia. Case 2, and that's only using turmeric. And mind you, all of the patients are on the psychiatric medications that I'll make mention of at the very end of this video. Case 2, an 84-year-old woman, progressive dementia. Symptoms were forgetfulness, disorientation to the place and time, hallucinations, delusions, agitation, irritability, depression, apathy, confabulation. I don't even know what confabulation means. That like fabulous? Confused? I don't know. Somebody look that up. Like, I always laugh to myself. Like, sometimes I'm like, man, I was reading all that and didn't really even dawn on me that confabulation is a word I've never even read before.
It's a memory error.
A memory error, confabulation. There we go. Thank God for Ashley back here. Had you ever heard the word confabulation?
No.
Hey, anybody else in this office ever heard the word confabulation? Or am I the only person? Raise your hand, comment below on the Facebook if you've ever heard the word confabulation before. Wandering and urinary incontinence. Those are all the symptoms. Patient history of hypertension, no other family history of dementia. She took turmeric. In this study, I will give you they were only taking 764 milligrams per day of turmeric. So think about this, 764 milligrams. We utilize a turmeric elixir that is more potent than your powder, more absorbable than powder, and it's 2.5 grams per serving, 70 servings in a bottle. Think about the cost benefit. Yeah. Most turmeric supplements, I've never found one more cost beneficial than what we carry with the Wellness Way. Her hallucination, delusions, depression, agitation, apathy, anxiety, irritability were relieved. Confabulation, it didn't mention whether that was relieved. I hope so. Stopped urinating outside the front door. Like, seriously, like she urinated in the front lawn. Like, how bad would that be, you know? But that was the confusion that can occur due to Alzheimer's disease. She stopped peeing out the front door. And, you know, I mean, my little kid, 5 years old almost, you know, he pees out the front door, no big deal. But, you know, grandma, 80-some years old, peeing out the front door, that's a little embarrassing for everybody. So thank God for turmeric. Came to put on her clothes properly. Woo-hoo! Distinguish her family from her staffs of the caregiver center. So she knew if this was a caregiver nurse or this was her daughter or her son, you know. So the phenomenal results there. Burden of caregivers relieved, so not as much burden on those taking care of her. She has been taking turmeric for 1 year. She lives peacefully, a serene manner with her family. Phenomenal. Got to go out of a caregiver center and go home with her family. 79-year-old male is case 3. His wife reported short-term memory loss. I think my wife's already reporting that in me, or just ear blockage at times she wants to report. But he wanted to stay at home. That was his goal, and he got to do so because of turmeric. That's really, really cool. A history of hypertension. Boom, another one. Hypertension. Taking a drug to treat it. Folks, please listen to me out there. If anybody is listening right now, watching this video, if you have high blood pressure, get to the root cause. It is not the lack of the drug you're taking that your doctor has prescribed. Thank God, if you want to say, that the emergency medical care system, like the firemen, can put out the fire so you don't stroke out right now if you have weak arteries, but the cause of hypertension is still there. You're not healthier. You haven't restored function to your body, normalized function of your body. You haven't got rid of the inflammatory possible cause. You haven't got rid of the structural cause of hypertension. You haven't got rid of what causes damage to your entire body and system, thus increasing your stroke and heart attack risk if you're taking a blood pressure medication. It might save your life in the emergency situation, temporarily giving you time. It should be seen as buying you time for the correction of the underlying cause. And if you don't correct the underlying cause, this is why so many people, we are ignoring what causes health problems like blood pressure issues, high blood pressure, hypertension, just medicating them, and we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Ultimately, what do we expect down the road? We should only expect the person's health to get worse, which it always does. Every single patient I've ever asked, where did your health start? Well, I started blood pressure, now I've got cholesterol, now I've got Viagra, now I've got depression medications. Now I'm starting to forget things. Now I've got swelling in my feet. Now I'm so fatigued. Like, it just goes on and on because we're not seeking care from doctors, whether it be like myself or other Wellness Way docs, that enable us to identify and correct underlying causes. We're correcting causes, we're treating causes, and not blood pressure. It's worthless to treat blood pressure. If you think about this correctly, it's worthless to treat blood pressure. It is most beneficial to correct the underlying causes of blood pressure, because that will enable you to live a longer and healthier life. So after turmeric for 12 weeks, you know, she saw a lessening of agitation, irritability, depression, and other problems with her his psycho-emotional state. He actually saw in his MMSE, you'll have to look up the study and get the abbreviation for that, but this is a measurement of their psychological and Alzheimer's scores, was a 5 points improvement. Mind you, 5 points is more than double of what they approved a drug to treat Alzheimer's disease. So this same scoring system, a score of 0 to 30, 0 being the worst possible score. The two females in this clinical trial or this case study review in this PubMed peer-reviewed study, they were so psychologically deficient, mental health deficient, they had such severe mental health scores, they couldn't do this test. So this man started off with a 12, he improved by 5 points to a 17 in that time period. He improved in his calculation, his concentration, his transcription of the figures, and spontaneous writing. He has been taking turmeric for more than 1 year and lives calmly still with his wife. That is turmeric, folks. That is turmeric alone. So if somebody hears this, just start using turmeric at least, please. Don't go on the drugs that cause side effects. And you don't have to take my word for that. Anna is messaging me. Give me 1 second, folks. I don't ignore my wife. Hey, babe, what's up? I'm jumping in the truck right now, finishing this video, okay?
What?
I'm finishing up a video right as we speak. A video on Alzheimer's disease. Can I? Love you. I'll see you in a minute. All right. So, don't believe the hype, cholinesterase inhibitors as a treatment for dementia. This is science-based medicine. You get the link to this article. Call it, go ahead and read through it. Get a medical physician's own words about it. He said that he went to a drug lunch where drug manufacturers, drug companies buy lunch for medical physicians. And he went to this and they saw only a 2 point. They wanted to boast about a 2 point difference in the MMSE, which in turmeric, in this case study, 1 patient, yes. So it's a very small case series of 3 patients, phenomenal for those 3 patients. They got to spend time with their family. They got to go home and live with their family. They got to stop urinating on their front porch as far as one woman. Another man could go into spontaneous writing again. He could calculate things. He could think logically again. 5 point improvement versus only a 2 point improvement was the average improvement in the clinical trials to be able to say that this drug should come to market and be what we treat. All medical physicians just prescribe this drug. So he went to the actual clinical or that drug lunch, and he said the drug's common side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, loss of appetite. So now you don't just have to wear diapers for urinary incontinence. Now you get diarrhea, and you got to wear diapers for that. Tiredness, drowsiness, trouble sleeping, muscle cramps. So you're tired and you're drowsy, but you have trouble sleeping. That's a great combination for people, right? Who would like to be drowsy and tired all the time, but then unable to sleep? Talk about frustration and anger. Probably more irritability. Muscle cramps. That day I realized that the risk-benefit profile did not support its use, and I vowed never to prescribe the drug to any or to my elderly patients. But he said as he witnessed in his clinic people coming in with family members with Alzheimer's disease, and he would see tons of these people. It was like everybody's coming in on this drug. Why is everybody on this drug? Well, the big pharma bought lunch. You know, that's all it took for doctors to think, yeah, I'll prescribe this drug. You told me it showed improvement, but 2 points is not really improvement, but I'll go ahead and prescribe it. All it took was buying lunch for doctors, and all these doctors prescribing this drug. You know what? This man, he uses common sense. This is a good medical physician, and he said, I'm not prescribing it. It's worthless. It comes with way too many side effects, way too many harms, and it doesn't reverse the disease. It doesn't even arrest the disease. It still gets worse. Hence the question that this patient's husband always asks to his medical physician, how long until I lose it all? Why don't you start seeing a doctor that will allow you, where the question wouldn't be in his clinic, How long till I lose it all? The question would be, how long till I regain it all? I'm getting better, I'm getting healthier. This stuff works. But when asked of the family members, they would say, what else can we do? People don't know this stuff. They don't know there is a better way. They don't know about it. Turmeric, farmers aren't buying lunch for medical physicians to teach them about this beneficial effect. So folks, I need your help right now. If you're watching on Facebook, tag a friend, a family member. Share this video right now. If you're on YouTube, share it right away. Tweet it. Do whatever you can possible to get this information out to people, because God has provided the medicines we need to allow people to remember Him, remember their family members, and live a quality of life that they deserve. We can reverse and arrest Alzheimer's disease. There are many other things that I would do in the approach to this to see many other benefits to these patients. Medicinal mushrooms to turmeric, lion's mane is phenomenal. I'd start detoxing them. I'd do so many things. So if you want help, I'm asking you right now, or if you want to help others, share the video. Or if you want help, call my office, 931-591-2010, or get online, find a Wellness Way physician in your area. And it doesn't matter whether you live anywhere in the United States. If you don't have a Wellness Way doc in your area, if you want to consult directly with me, just call my office. All right? I'm here to help. Please share the truth. Don't just like it. It's the only way we're going to save lives. And allow people not to have to live a life of a living death. All right, folks. I love you all.